Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Janice Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. I am joined by my beautiful co-host, also in purple today, Jennifer Jurkofsky. State the obvious right off the bat. I know it was not planned. Jen has my hostic self, and we are joined by an awesome guest today, Louella Venus. Welcome, Louella. I am looking forward to hearing your story and getting to know you a little bit more. We'll say hello to a few people here off the bat. We've got Hit the City, so Nalani. Welcome, Nalani. Good to see you.
Hello.
And we have Kaylee and Catherine, apparently. Hello to you both. Welcome. Welcome. And so we have our weather forecast that we usually do. So it's been kind of weird because Saturday was weird. Saturday was like that day out of time. Jen had a post about that, so you guys should take a look at that. But if you were feeling weird energy on Saturday, that was definitely part of it. And we've had this cradle thing going on and all of that as well. So let's take a look at this. So in terms of this, we've only had a couple of little M-class solar flares, so nothing too much in the last couple of days. So that is a good thing. When we look at our KP index, it's been fairly quiet as well. The Schumann today, however, is at 30. So we're going to feel that. That's definitely going to be something that is going to... how are you guys feeling? Because for me, I think there is like this... And I'm sure it has something to do with our neutrinos, right, Jen?
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah. So our transits, let's hear a little bit about the human design transits, because they are like, I'm sure, contributing.
Well, right now, okay, so on Saturday, we actually switched transits as well. So we moved out of the 56 energy that we talked about last week, and we moved into the 31 energy. And so when we're looking at those shifts, we recognize that, again, we're talking neutrinos here, right? So about 70% of the energy that's coming at us is coming from where the sun's placement is. And so that's a big shift. And we do feel that within ourselves. And so in that sense, when we moved into the gate 31, we really moved into this energy that influences how things flow through us. And so we're looking at moving from the shadow of arrogance to the siddhi, or the enlightened state of humility, through the gift of leadership. It's a really interesting energy to sit with because, when we think about leadership, so many different things come to mind. And we look at influence and what it is to be in a leadership position. And it's so interesting because really this energy isn't about position, it's about relationship, right? It's when we look at what it is to be a leader, we build that through integrity and presence and our willingness to serve something greater than ourselves, right? It is truly that idea that the leader is the servant, right? The one who is willing to give of themselves in that space and that energy. And so that's really what we're being reminded of this week. And if we really kind of break it down in the simplest form, right? Arrogance seeks to influence for the self, where leadership serves the whole. And then ultimately, humility recognizes that true influence is going to just flow through us, not from us. And so it's that ability to kind of navigate through those energies. So noticing, each interaction that we have, what imprint are we leaving? Every conversation, like even these, and, we love these. And such an important part of these conversations is recognizing that we influence each other all the time. And so what kind of influence do we want to put out there? It's about that authenticity, which is why it's authentic spiritual conversation. It's that ability to kind of step back and go, I'm not trying to be in a particular role. It's about, can I be authentic and allow you to be authentic? And let's see what comes from that, right? So some of the things to watch for as we're in this energy. If we're experiencing some of the shadow aspects of this energy, you might recognize that there's a seeking of recognition rather than connection. right? So really wanting to be seen for what it is you're doing, or what you're putting out there. So we might find that we need to be right. Maybe we seek validation, holding our truths to be above someone else's. So if you find that you're like dismissing different perspectives and things like that, just notice those things if they show up for you, because they're opportunities to switch the energy. They're opportunities to move into that gift of leadership, where we can stop asking like, how am I seen versus how can I contribute, right? It really lets us to sit in integrity, to listen more deeply, to have more thoughtful communication, and to really encourage each other, because ultimately that's what this is all about. So some reflection prompts for the week. Where do I naturally influence the people around me? What values am I communicating through my actions? And what kind of leader do I become when no one is watching, right? Really checking in with ourselves and seeing how we choose to show up even for ourselves. So the affirmation for this week is, I lead through integrity rather than recognition. I listen with humility and act with purpose. As I embody my values, my presence becomes a quiet invitation for others to do the same. So that is the energy that we are in. So I'll give you guys the affirmation in the chat.
So it's very much a let's lead with love kind of energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. You guys know my thing. Lead with love and let love lead you. So that's a thing. So it's a good week for us to all practice that.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that our guest does that as well.
The
work that she does. So I'd love to hear about that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, of course. Well, honestly, I've always been like a very spiritual person. I think when I was younger, I didn't really know what word to kind of associate with that. But I always felt like I was a very like deep and introspective, and I'd go out in nature and talk to the trees, like as kids do. But I think just getting older, like what you were talking about, influence, why I really started posting myself on TikTok was because I felt it was so important that people my age have like a space to be able to connect and influence each other in such a positive way. Because I think at the minute, like everything with social media, it's really hard to stay on track. You have to be so conscious of like the positivity, the nice things, like uplifting each other. And I think that's really the influence that I kind of started with when I started to open up my practice to other people, because originally it was very much like a personal thing. And even just like posting myself online felt kind of like, well, this is for me, like why would I post myself? But it is that coming back to that, like opening out to other people and influencing other people in such a positive way, especially when I know that I do feel like I'm a channel for those kind of things. I mean, I'm a Gemini, so I'm very like one with my words, very chatty, like so I feel like, yeah, just taking yourself out of it and realizing that having that influence on other people is so important. Because I do a lot of my videos are like tarot videos. I do a bit of astrology too. But a lot of them are kind of just like insights that come to me. So I try not to like plan out too much of it. I kind of just go with the flow, as they say. But yeah, that's a bit about the kind of stuff that I post, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That influence piece is so interesting, right? Because whether we realize it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not, we are always influencing those around us. Every experience that we have, every interaction is an influence of some kind. And so stepping into that authenticity, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to be out there doing this kind of stuff. You know, like you, I was very much in this is my journey. This is my path. I don't need to put it out there. But, you know, Tanis and I would have these really deep, beautiful conversations. And we, you know, got to a point more where we were told, but also where we were going.
We were told.
Like, this would be lovely to hold this space for other people so that they can also be part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's really where this, you know, developed out of. And so, you know, when we're stepping into that space of, you know, being an influencer, like being in that position of, you know, impacting more people than just our, you know, those that are around us, our family, our households, and, you know, work and stuff. It is such an important thing to be mindful of, like, what is it that I want to present? Who do I want to be in this space? And what energy am I trying to bring forward?
Yeah, I think also it comes with the remembrance of, like, it's not personal if people don't get what you're trying to say. And in a way, it's like, it's interesting when you do, like, you are speaking from the heart, or you are coming from a place of love, and people do get triggered by that and do go on the defense. It's hard not to take that personally because you're coming from a place of love. But I think that's also so important to remember with the influence, because some people do need to be triggered. Some people do need to be on the defense, you know? So I definitely found that with, like, posting things online, like, some people, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm just trying to spread positivity, like, but again, like, just
what you doing, dude?
Like, it's not like what you said, it comes through you, not from you. It's like that kind of thing, like, it's happening for you, not to you. Kind of like the same idea with that.
Yeah, and I understand from, you know, a certain family member of yours that you are a channel as well. So
yeah.
And so that definitely, like, when you're having it come through you, it's definitely like, you know, source or your guides. Or so who do you work with? Do you have specifics that you work with?
I've worked with Mary Magdalene, and I have a book actually called The Left Hand Path, which I'm also left-handed, so that, like, connected with me a lot. And I do practice witchcraft as well, but I try and not kind of focus myself into one thing. I kind of, like, I say witchcraft, but it's more like a broader practice than that, I'd say. Like, I kind of just delve into separate things, and even, like, taking pieces of, like, religion sometimes if it feels right, and not trying to, like, I think when I say that, people get a bit freaked out, like Christianity, for example, but I think there are so many good parts of, like, Christ's story, for example, or Mary Magdalene, and just, like, being very open to all of those interpretations and how everything just intertwines, like, especially working with, like, goddesses and gods. Yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's like eclectic witch, right?
Yeah.
We're just like, yeah, I'm kind of like that too. I'm like that too. I have my fingers in a whole bunch of different things, so I tend to bring it all together, including galactic stuff and all of that, as well as Celtic shamanism and you know, Wicca and stuff like that. So I'm with you.
Yeah,
we don't need to limit ourselves, right? It's all love, and we can choose to sit in the light of all of that. So
absolutely, it's such a beautiful thing, you know, having grown up in particular religions and then learning and experiencing and really diving into others, understanding, you know, the parts of these different traditions that are the mystical truths that flow through all of them versus the, shall we say, man-made parts of them, and being able to recognize and separate that and see the beauty that's in each of them that we're able to tap into and bring together, because they do complement each other in so many ways.
Yeah, I think that's another thing, like you have to kind of learn that the hard way. Like, like, I mean, obviously I grew up, like you've obviously interviewed my dad, so I kind of grew up in that setting. Like I wasn't really in a religious setting. But I think it's easy to demonize certain stories because they don't necessarily align with what you believe in. But it is just about not limiting yourselves to, oh, bad, good, wrong, right, because it's like it's not as simple as that. It's very much all to do with, you know, your perspective on things and just going through life and figuring it out, learning your lessons.
Yeah, which we all have to do. That's why we're here, right? That's what we're here for, is to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's so true, though. The human mind loves to label and judge and compartmentalize and put things in boxes. And, you know, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. And that's just, you know, the way it is. And yet, the more that we're able to move beyond the limitations of the mind, the more we recognize that these experiences that we're labeling one way or another aren't necessarily at all what we think they are. Right? Something that we might say, oh, this good thing is happening, and then it ends up being a real pain to have to navigate or to deal with, or, you know, something comes from it and we're like, oh wow, that was a lesson, right? You know, I thought that was, you know, going to be this and it ended up being that. And then there's, you know, other times where, you know, something goes completely sideways on us and the mind wants to go, oh, this is so bad, this is so bad. And we get to the other end of it and go, wow, what an incredible experience. What a wonderful journey to bring us through, right? So the more that we can kind of step back and not label things one way or another, the more we can actually have that authentic experience with it.
And also not label yourself. Not put yourself in a box. I think also that's such a big thing that I try and always like come back to, or even when I'm doing like tarot readings, or if I'm working with the moon, like always just coming back to myself. That's like the only thing I think that can actually guide me through the hard times. Like just knowing that you have yourself is so important. And even like, I mean, I've just graduated. I've from a musical theatre degree, so I've been like dancer, actress, singer. But even when you're in those spaces of like very hard, like being watched, being judged, being critiqued all the time, it's like the only thing that really got me through all of that was the same thing of just like coming back to myself and knowing, being still, know you're infinite, you know. And I think that's like all you need. Like it's very simple. Like, there's so much, but also it's just one. It's just one in the end. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. With this know you're infinite, right? Because we talk about this kind of stuff and we, you know, to some level understand it, but it really has to be that felt sense. So can you share a little bit about your journey of really coming home to yourself?
Yeah, I think the times I felt the most with myself is when I'm in nature. Like that is the looking up at the stars. I remember in 2022, I was like going through a rough time. And I remember I was just so sad. I was like listening to music and then it was like nighttime and I looked up at the stars and I was like, wow, like I'm here, like I'm on this earth. And it's just those moments of the simple things. Like whenever I'm upset or down, I will just try and find a tree and sit by a tree, or like find if I'm near a beach, then amazing, because I love the sea. But all of those times of just like reconnecting with nature, I think just reminds you, your mind, but also your body, that you're a part of the earth, like how important the earth is to your physical body. It's like such a calming sensation. You don't need to do too much. It's just, you know, being still with that.
Well, and grounding with the earth and hugging trees, it can bring such healing, like physical healing as well as the emotional and energetic, right? There's times I've had a sore back and I'll go out and hug a tree and it'll be like, oh,
exactly.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen like the diagram of the energetic field of a tree and how it's like a human. Like,
yep.
Think like it's so simple, but you forget the simplicities of it.
Mm-hmm.
You get so caught up with the concrete and the phones and the online, like all you need to do is go in nature.
Yep, go lie on the grass.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what summer vacation's all about.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a nice tan. I don't know if you can see my
very good
tan line.
Now, you live mostly in England?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, but you're in the US right now.
Yeah, it's my first time here.
And what do you think? How was it?
It's very different.
Just making conversation.
I'm like, do we want to actually go there?
I'm assuming probably the nice church bells are beautiful in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's also another thing I love to do. I love to go to church, like not necessarily a ceremony, but if I'm not near nature, going to a church is so peaceful to me because you go there and you feel like the years and the decades of like the worship and the faith, and even if it's not like a religion you support, that like it's so calming, and it's almost like a sound box as well. Like I think it sounds like, from someone who's not even religious, going to church is like so peaceful. Mm-hmm. And it just clears your mind as well, I find. I think that's like you said, for my personal journey, I think my mind is so like always just go. And so like going to places that just makes my mind quiet, along with obviously meditation. But sometimes even after that, you're like, it's still going. So yeah,
it's true. There's some days meditation is like, this isn't working for me today. It's okay though.
It's interesting though, and it's so true that collective energy that is in a particular space can be incredibly powerful, even if it isn't something that you necessarily resonate with. Just that idea of trusting in something greater than yourself and holding, place for the divine to intervene in our lives and to care for us. Like it's a beautiful energy to bathe ourselves in if we're able to.
Yeah. Also, how you feel how sacred it is, like how that importance of how sacred it is. It reminds me of, I watched the Odyssey yesterday, and they talk about honoring the dead, and they talk about like Zeus's law and how important those sacrifices and those honors are. And I'm like, I wish there was more of that these days, like really honoring things and like putting your energy into something else outside of yourself, how important that is.
Yeah, to be of service. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about, any type of spiritual church or synagogue or, all of those, any type of space where there is this sacred practices that happen, they always have the altar, right? Yeah. And that brings in that energy and it holds it there. It's like a representative of the divine in there. And so it maintains the energy at that frequency, which is lovely. It's part of what we feel walking into those places, I think. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Mary Magdalene. Mm-hmm. I think that might be a good topic. Before we get into that topic, actually, let's just say a quick hello to Heidi. Welcome, Heidi. Thank you. From Boulder, Colorado. Thank you for sharing everything. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jen has a particular interest in Mary Magdalene. She's done a couple of different things online, a couple of segments about Mary Magdalene. So,
yeah. So you said you feel very connected with Mary Magdalene's energy.
Mm-hmm.
What is it in particular that?
I think it's just really learning about the divine feminine, and I think I originally connected with her because I felt like how misunderstood and how demonized the female or the divine feminine had been, and like the left-hand path. I think I've always kind of felt that, like the injustice of women. I think that's really where like my interest stemmed from. And then learning about the sacred nature of Mary Magdalene, the feminine, but also just like the female body and how sacred it is to be able to, you know, carry a child and create life, like how demonized that's been throughout history. I think that's really what like drew me into Mary Magdalene. And I think also the introspection almost, like you don't have to say too much, like it's very much to do with yourself, you know. I think the masculine is very like driven and like extroverted, and the sun, the Leo, you know, but I really just love like, you know, I don't need to explain myself, I can just like sit back in myself, you know, kind of thing. So I think that's like being a woman and being in touch with my own body and being like part of this like amazing divine feminine, like that is like so important to me. So I think that's really why I connected with her. And also just, yeah, like not also finding out those things later on, like not knowing that from like a young age, I guess, and like then discovering those like sacred parts of yourself. Like that was like almost like an awakening to me, like, oh my gosh, like women are amazing, you know, like we need to like each other, you know?
absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's really where it stemmed from.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing, the sacred feminine. And we, you know, we live in a world, a society, but really a world of the masculine, and the masculine being present, and not the divine version of the masculine.
Yeah.
So to be able to really sit and settle into that divine feminine, that ability to be within ourselves, to nurture ourselves and care for ourselves, to hold space for what that then brings forward through us. It's such a beautiful energy to not only contemplate, but to embody.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think I was so interested in it as well, to do with like the moon cycles and how that is so linked to like a woman's menstrual cycle as well, and like really like getting in touch with that. And I think also so many women are like, they don't really understand their bodies like during menstruation, and it's very much like not talked about, like the different phases. And I think just really connecting with that, with like the moon, really helped me like understand myself more, because it's not like, it wasn't common knowledge. I mean, I remember even talking to my friends about it and them being like so shocked as well, like how like you interchange, and like how your body is like the 4 seasons, and how your body goes through. It's like we are literally a mirror of the earth, and no one really knows about it. So that's really what drew me to the divine feminine.
Yeah, there's been a lot of redirection, shall we say, by some of the not so divine masculine in history. You know, but I love the fact that it's becoming more like the focus has been more on that divine feminine, and we're bringing that forward more to help balance some of the others, you know. And there's many men working at stepping into their divine masculine as well, you know, and I think that that's a beautiful path and journey that we're all on at the moment. And sometimes it takes us seeing some of the other stuff to actually realize, like, that's not working for us, right? So we're stepping into more divine practices, and yeah, anyway, it's a beautiful path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful that I have, I mean, obviously I post on TikTok, but I think also finding a community on there, and I feel like I've learned so much from TikTok, because I think it's such a nice medium ground between like the different ages to share knowledge. I think it's like I feel like Facebook is very much older people, then like Instagram is younger people. I feel like TikTok's the nice like middle ground. You know?
You're not wrong.
So I think that's like, I love seeing videos of people who are much older than me, like sharing their knowledge. I'm like, this is such a nice community as well, of things that like I'd never even thought about. Yeah.
I'm laughing because it's my birthday tomorrow, and I do spend a fair bit on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, well, I had a crowning ceremony. I guess I have to step into that. Okay. It's moving into acceptance for myself. That's what I'm doing. It's not, you didn't do anything, but it's fine. Giggling to myself about, you know, Facebook and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I am on TikTok as well, but
see, there we go.
You got a happy birthday. Welcome, Kira.
Thank you, Kira. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true though. You know, at one point I put up a post. I've got to get myself on TikTok. I'm, you know, little bits and pieces, but I do find that, you know, it's so important to share the knowledge of how things changed over time, right? Mary Magdalene, who, you know, for all accounts was the disciple to the disciples and was the one who was most loved and closest with Jesus, somehow turned into a prostitute, and this idea of the demons that were there was, you know, an affliction as opposed to an initiation. Everything got switched around, and it's such an important piece that for those of us who are able to bring the information forward to say, hey, wait a minute, like this is what actually happened, and this is exactly when things shifted, right? There was a sermon and a pope put 3 Marys together, and all of a sudden that became Mary Magdalene's story. And it's like, wait a minute, like this isn't her truth, but it became who we knew her as. And so to be able to kind of shift that knowledge and help people understand the embodiment of the divine feminine that she brought forward to balance with Jesus and the divine masculine is a completely different story than what we're told today.
Well, that's why I say that not so healthy masculine has taken over part of what we have been told, right? I mean, even that part that she wrote for the Bible was not included. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, just like the demonization of Mary Magdalene, I think, is kind of such a reflection of how women aren't as in touch with themselves anymore, because they're so, you know, they're so polarized, or either this or you're this, or, you know, it's like there's no focus on how we literally bring life into the earth. Like no one, it's such like an almost desensitized thing.
Yeah.
And I think Mary, like working with Mary Magdalene has really like taught me to unlearn those like opinions that have been protruding through centuries, through the Bible, through everything, because her story has obviously been so turned and twisted into something it's not. So I think also just being a woman, like you almost can relate to that in like such a way, like your actions are interpreted as something they're not, or, you know, you're labeled as something, or, you know, I think that's also like connected with how I felt just being a woman. So yeah, just like, again, coming back to knowing yourself and knowing that you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to be anything. You can just be still with yourself is the most important thing.
Well, and for the Wicca stuff, I mean, that's what drew me to the Wicca, was that it was more balanced.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the tradition that I do is God and Goddess, so it is sort of that divine balance. But the fact that that's included in Wicca, and depending on which you know, practice you follow, will depend whether it's all Goddess or God and Goddess. Like, it just depends on that lineage. But that is part of what appealed to me about it, was the fact that it was more balanced in that sacred feminine and bringing it forward.
Yeah, definitely. And honoring those stories and that energy that has been discarded or ignored in the past. I think with the knowledge that everyone's like kind of gaining, I think it's so nice to know that people are like stepping into their power and stepping into that has been forgotten for so long.
Mm-hmm. So what does that mean to you? Stepping into your power. It's a phrase that we all talk about, but I'm just wondering what it means to you.
For me, it means just letting go of the voices, all the fear, all the past. It means just not overthinking, not doing too much, just being still and being present and being detached, and knowing that you are enough, knowing that you don't have to prove yourself. And that also comes with making mistakes. You're still in your power. You still know yourself. You're still learning, like not holding yourself to standards that might, you know, like make yourself doubt yourself, like not holding yourself to any specific idea, and knowing that you're always learning, you're always growing, I think is the most important. Because you know, you can't ever even know your full self. That's the thing as well, like you're still always learning about yourself. So being in your power is just holding what you have in that moment and not being too tied up with what has come before.
It's so in line with the transits right now too, right? The ability to notice when we're trying to convince or prove, or, you know, like what you're talking about, versus being able to really just be present. And that presence is so powerful in the moment, and just being yourself, right? And how that is truly what gives us our power and allows us to sit in that space of, and I talk about some of my favorite quotes, and other than the roomie here, like, I love, know thyself and to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
Right? And in order to, you know, continue that, we have to recognize that we are always in a journey and we are always growing, which means that we are going to make mistakes, and that doesn't take us out of our power. Right? Yeah. Being able to be in a situation and go, oh, okay, I just learned something there. Right? That keeps us very much in our power.
Yeah.
And I find that it's like really knowing what's true for you instead of what your people are projecting on you. You know, so being in your own personal integrity and not self-abandoning along the way. That's kind of a form of stepping into the power, right? Of being like, okay, well, I know that if I do this particular thing, it doesn't work for me. Even though everybody's telling me that's what I should be doing, I'm going to do what works for me. You know, I'm going to step into my own personal integrity in that, because I know that if I do this, I'm going to feel better. If I do that, what everybody's telling me to, it's not for me, you know? And so really being in touch with and going inside to figure out what it is that we need for ourselves, and So like you say, right? Not letting all those outside voices define who you are.
And I always like say to myself, like, if you're ever unsure, like, you know the answer, you just have to, like, you know what's right for you. And there's also this quote that I try and like remind myself of, is that, you know, every feeling is telling you something about yourself. Every trigger is telling you something about yourself. Like, listen to your emotions, listen to your reactions, because they're all revealing parts of yourself to you that you might not even know exist. And that's, you know, how you yield life and figure it out, because your body is like almost, your body knows more than you realize, I guess. Like, it's not separate to you. So
Yeah, our body is what holds our true wisdom. Our mind holds our conditioning. Our body holds our wisdom.
The fine-tuned machine when we listen. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's just that learning to listen to it over the mind. That is really the journey that we're on when we're on a spiritual journey, is getting out of what the conditioning and all of the things that we've been told are real, and being able to actually find that truth for ourselves within ourselves, and recognize that we have the ability to connect with that and to channel that and bring it forward.
Yeah. Well, and you were talking about getting to know yourself, like the great work. They always talk about the great work being that self-discovery journey. And for me, that's the healing journey. You know, when we start, for me, healing is about self-knowledge and self-discovery. And the more we can start to know about what is true for us, and not just what everybody has told us is truth for us. It's a whole relearning as we go through that healing journey. And I think that's a beautiful thing, that people are empowered to think that. So, you know, the stuff that you do on TikTok, it's a way for us to put that out there for people to say, it's okay to not know yourself right now. And it's okay to take one step forward to figure out who that is. And even if, and it's not usually forward, it's usually inward.
That's why also sometimes I find it hard to post on TikTok, because I'm like, but tomorrow I might be thinking something different, you know, tomorrow I'm going to be a person. Like, I think also knowing that people might hold you accountable for your online, like holding you accountable for past versions of yourself, but also holding you accountable for like your online videos, because they're there, you know, they're real and tangible. So I think sometimes that kind of like takes me off guard a bit. But also just, again, like, that's also just another reminder to be like, that was a version of me. Now it might be something else. Then I might go back to that, you know, not being too kind of scared of the idea of like permanence, and how this is you. It's something that I feel like I've really been trying to gauge at the minute.
Well, and every time we learn something, right, whether it's about ourselves or the world around us, it changes who we are. Because we are like this transit, we're all relational, right, in relationship to other people and the world that's around us. And so really being aware that everything we learn can change who we are, and that's okay. That's part of self-acceptance.
Yeah, exactly. And that everything is also just a mirror reflecting back. So, yeah, you see what you seek. You seek what you see, you know, vice versa. Yeah,
because we really do train our brains, and then we notice exactly what we've trained our brains for. So we do need to be mindful of that. There's as you were talking to, there was a meme that came to mind, you know, the one with the caterpillar and the butterfly sitting together, and the caterpillar is like, you've changed. The butterfly is like, yeah, we're supposed to.
I see that.
That's an interesting comment. I think for me, because I didn't start my spiritual journey till like 12 years ago, 13 years, 14 years ago now maybe. But anyway, either way, later in life. And so for me, it was you go through that shift, right, where you become somebody different, and then the people around you tend to change. Not necessarily who they are, but they may leave and others come in. And there was a part of me that felt almost guilty because I'm no longer what they want me to be. So I had to go through that shift in, it's okay to be different. We're supposed to do this. Because we're so stuck on not wanting to change and wanting to, as humans, we don't like change. And so when we change, we force others around us to change something. And so there's a bit of a, I felt a responsibility with that, only from the perspective of I'm changing and that's okay. And I realize that my actions are changing. So I am responsible for that. So really stepping into that, how are you doing with my change? Not that we need to know, like it's not going to affect whether we do or not, but stepping into being compassionate about the fact that we are changing and being authentic about that and stepping into that. That was a challenge for me early on. Now it's like, well, this is who I am. That's all. But but there was a time when people expect you to be a certain way, and when you change, you're not that way anymore.
Yeah.
Necessarily. So I think people struggle with that piece a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that is also such a interesting part of growing, is like when you do outgrow people, but it's like sometimes they don't really realize what's going on, if you want like use of a better word. Like,
yeah,
they don't, they're still living in the world where you're a version of yourself that you've outgrown. And I think mourning or grieving a relationship in the sense of I'm not that person anymore, but you don't really understand that yet, is definitely such a interesting lesson to learn, because it also reveals so much about the people around you. And you have to have compassion, but you also have to know that you have to put yourself first and put your journey first, and not get stuck in like reverting back to those old ways of living just because other people have those perceptions of you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we're only responsible for our own actions and reactions, right? They need to be responsible for their own actions and reactions and all of that.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing, and I talk to clients about it often when we're in this transformational process, whatever it is, whether it's a spiritual transformation or, we've just been working on ourselves and the way that we, show up dealing with people pleasing, or, whatever it is. And it's really interesting because, as you're saying, the moment that we change, either the person is going to adapt and change with us, or there's going to be pushback. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, as hard as it is a test for us to go like, is this really the direction that I want to move in? Mm-hmm. Like, does this truly feel like this is my next step? And am I willing to allow myself to take it, even though there's going to be, some turbulent waters that I'm going to have to navigate? And the beautiful thing is that when it really does feel aligned and true for us, being in our power, we have the ability to navigate it. Yeah. Right? It's not like we're left floundering and all of a sudden it's like, I'm drowning, I don't know what I did. It's like, no, this is a conscious choice that I'm making to step more authentically into who I am. And I can recognize and have compassion for the fact that that's hard for you, but I have to honor this. And so we end up actually gaining the capacity the more that we can truly sit in that authentic energy.
Yeah, I think that also just reminds me of working with tarot, and how, you want an answer and it's like you sort of already know the answer, but you just don't want to admit it to yourself. So you pull a card and you're like, oh, that's not
of course.
Very much like coming back to yourself and knowing that you do have the answers within you, and sometimes it's just learning to accept that answer and learning to accept that you have to overcome things to get to the next step. And that's why I feel like for me, tarot is such like, I do it all the time or I don't do it at all. Like, because I think it is very much that thing of, sometimes I'll pull a spread and I'm like, oh, I wasn't meant to know that yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, let me just process this in my own time.
I'm not ready for that response.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe later. Come back to me later.
Yeah.
There's moments when the deck totally calls you out and you're just like, oh,
Yeah,
not what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exactly. But it is just that thing of, you have to learn it. You have to go through it. There's no other way. You have to just learn the lesson. You know, you can have even just like being on like a spiritual journey and being conscious about positivity and doing the right things and all of that. It's like you can do all of that, but it's like you still have to learn the lesson the hard way. You have to really live the experience. And I think that's another thing I've learned from being on a spiritual journey, is like, it's not just, oh, let's do some positive affirmations and then I'm going to have the easiest life in the world. It's just, you know, it is just about experience. That's what I've learned from my life, is just, you're here to experience. There's no right way of doing it. It's just all different kind of levels of consciousness and different levels of repeating patterns or changing patterns. There's no like best way to live, or, you know, it's not black and white. It's not black and white. It's not, oh, I've figured it out and now my life's going to be amazing. Like, it actually ends up being like, oh, now I'm having to face everything. But yeah, that's what I feel like I'm learning that every day, and just reminding myself of that every day, which is why I do love doing like videos and stuff, because it does also make me come back to myself, and it's like a reminder. I'm sure it's the same with you guys doing this podcast. Like, it's just the reminder of remembering again.
Well, and that's it. I mean, everything truly is experience, and that is why we're here, to experience. And so often with clients, it's like, well, what do I do? And it's like, well, what do you want to do? What experience do you want to have? What experience are you meant to have with this? Right? It's not about making the best choice or doing the right or wrong thing. It's really about, what experience are you stepping into, and what experience do you want to have as you navigate it?
Yeah, exactly.
And we go back to we always talk about, like, the experience is not good or bad. It's only our perception of it that makes it so. So, I mean, of course, there are things that are extreme, but for the most part, you know, even those can be that old happening for us, not to us, that experience.
That's why I think I always come back to the law of detachment, the Buddhist law, because I feel like that's such a universal application that I've learned has really like helped me. It's like, I mean, the same as like going out in nature, but just like snapping yourself out of it, almost like, hey, just remember that you can just relax and detach and know that it's fine. And sometimes you go like, no, I don't want to do that right now, but just always like having that conversation with yourself, and just being aware of like those different sides to you. And like, I always like to talk to myself in my head as if I'm almost like, you know, the higher self, I guess, and then this experience of myself, and just trying to cultivate that conversation as much as possible of just remember who you are, you know, detach, and
Yeah.
know that you are infinite, know that you can be still and you can choose. And those are the things that really like bring me the most peace and what I wish to help others with.
Well, and it's so funny because I'm even with clients, like sometimes the pain body comes up and it wants to feed, right? Nom nom. It just wants to
I know
feed.
exactly what you mean.
And there are times where it's like, I just want to feed this. Like, and and I'll say like, okay, what experience do we want? Do we want to work through it? Do we want to wallow? Like, where are we at? How are we feeling? Because sometimes it's like, I'm not ready to do anything other than feed it. Like, I'm just in that energy and in that space, as long as we eventually move out of it.
Yeah.
Right. But again, if that's the experience that we're choosing to have in the moment, that's the experience. That's all part of what it is to be in this human experiment.
There's a country song. A female, I believe. And it talks about how she just wants to be mad for a while. I just want to be mad. I know you're doing some kind of makeup. I just want to be mad for a while. Instead. And there's days like that, right? Where you need to, and that's working through the energy of it. It's expressing the energy and whatever you need to do. So it's all okay.
Yeah.
Our emotions are those guideposts.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Cody. Thanks for joining us. That's Hakoya, Hayoka Hawk. We usually do what we call our home play. We don't like to call it homework. We call it home play. And I can't believe that we're already like almost finished. So
as always, the hour flies by.
It flies. So we pick a card from this. I think you might.
Oh my goodness.
This deck. It always does.
Of course. So it's Seeds from the Sacred Feminine is the deck that we use. And the card that I got is Stand Barefoot on the Earth.
Oh, perfect.
No.
Again, this, it's so fitting. So let's get to, here we go. All right, here we go. So I will hold that up for you guys. And it says, you need grounding, grandchild. Let the magnetic nature of the sacred feminine ground the electric ways of your sacred masculine. Take those shoes off and let your feet be free. Walk outside and let the cool grass, soil, or snow touch the soles of your feet. The rhythm of Mother Earth is felt when we stand directly on her being. Remove the layer of rubber from your feet and feel the connection. How does it feel to you? Did you know that the bottoms of your feet are receptors of energy? Mother Earth directs healing energy through your feet when you make contact with her. Swish your toes in the dirt, massage your feet over some pebbles. Let the snow chill the soles of your feet. Walk on the grass through the evening dew. Let Mother Earth help your thoughts and emotions return to balance. When you connect to the natural world, you ground your scattered energy. Honor your connection to the planet, and she will honor you in return.
Oh, I love that the church bells are going off as you were speaking. That very much rounds off what we were saying.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Is there something that you are up to that you would like to share with people? We often, we'll share what we're doing this week, or, do you have specific times that you go on TikTok or anything like that?
I don't have any specific times. I usually just upload, whenever it flows to me. So yeah, I usually try and do full moon, new moon videos. So as the new moon's coming up, Aquarius not new moon, full moon. Did I say full moon? Full moon, yeah.
Full moon.
Yeah, I try and do it within the what's going on astrologically. But yeah, I'm usually just on there, here and there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I was pointing at her handle on TikTok there, above the veil.
Just down there somewhere.
Above no O. Right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to. Yeah, it's
I'm
just
like, is this correct? Maybe I haven't.
that is right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And Jen, what have you got going on this week?
This is it, other than, the regular day-to-day stuff. But as far as lives go, this is it. I did do something on Saturday, and I had the Sunday's energy for the week went out late last night. So if you didn't see it yesterday, that's why. And then I will be putting out the Mystic Monday after this. But otherwise, that is it for this week until next Monday.
Awesome. Hi, Carla. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Yeah, and I'm on vacation this week, so there'll be no other videos. Well, no, that's not true. I'm going to do my weekly videos, but there will be no other lives this week.
There you go.
And until next week. So we thank you all for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
It has been amazing getting to know you, Louella. Thank you so much. It was lovely, and I'm sure we will see you again very soon. And I'm just looking here. Where are we going? There we go. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us as well and sharing your energy with us. And we hope to see you again real soon. See you next week now. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.